ABC7 streaming apps. Chris Christie up here in Air 7 HD. As you can see, we are over an Armenian rally here in right along mid-Wilshire here, turning the corner onto Wilshire from Fairfax, where tens of thousands of Armenians have gathered this afternoon to rally for support for their relatives and friends and family back home, where violence is continuing just hours after a ceasefire between Armenia and Azerbaijan on Friday. Both sides now blaming each other for now renewed violence once again as fighting has broken out along the border region of Nagorno-Karabakh, and you can see the outpouring of support here in LA. As again, we have at least, at a minimum, I would say, 10,000, I'd say well over 10,000 at this point, as they have started to gather about an hour and a half ago. The crowd has continued to build exponentially over the last several hours. This is going to be a rally that continues throughout the day. They're actually heading towards the, I believe they're heading towards the Turkish consulate on Wilshire, and you can see lots of Armenian flags. This is a huge mobilization, probably the largest that we've seen over the last couple of weeks since violence first broke out just a couple of weekends ago, and by far the largest showing of support here in Los Angeles, and a really dramatic sight as they make their way westbound on Wilshire Boulevard. They started at Pan Pacific Park, as I mentioned, just about 90 minutes ago. Once again, thousands of Armenians gathering this afternoon here along mid-Wilshire, along Wilshire Boulevard as they march west towards San Vicente right now. The front line, arm in arm. You can see a stage, looks like a stage set up there at the end of the block. We count tens of thousands at least that are lining Wilshire Boulevard and turning off of Fairfax, where they have occupied the entire street. Close to a mile-long rally that has formed here this afternoon. It all started about 90 minutes ago, expected to continue into the evening, where they are continuing to rally for peace. Back home in Armenia, where fighting once again has broken out along the border regions between Azerbaijan and Armenia, and you can see everything remains extremely peaceful here. LAPD monitoring the group's movements and keeping an eye on the crowd just in case, purely because of the large scale of this rally. Again, a rally for peace back home in Armenia. They are rallying for support on the part of the U.S. government to speak out and again try and assist in any type of ceasefire that they can formulate. Of course, diplomats from both countries meeting in Moscow this week to try and come to some sort of a truce. There was a ceasefire that was agreed upon about 48 hours ago, but unfortunately in the last 24 hours or so, once again fighting has broken out along the border, and you can see the huge outpouring of support not only here in Los Angeles but in other cities, including New York City, where there was another very large rally yesterday. We've seen a number of donation collections taking place in our area here in LA and in Glendale over the past week as they try and again support their relatives back home. We see a banner plane making orbits around here. You can see smoke from the front of the crowd there. Again, Armenian colors showing the Armenian pride from the corner of Wilshire Boulevard and San Vicente. Once again, tens of thousands of Armenians rallying for peace here near Beverly Hills along Wilshire Boulevard. They're now crossing San Vicente and approaching La Cienega, where they will come to a stop. It does look like there will be speakers set up to speak. There's a stage, it looks like, where this rally will come to a pause near the Turkish consulate, and you can see the crowd now extending all the way back from San Vicente, or from La Cienega almost, all the way back to Fairfax. A group consisting of well over 10,000. That's at a very minimum. It's kind of hard to tell from up here, but we're talking tens, I would say, of thousands of people that have shown up here, many of them carrying Armenian flags, making their way to the Turkish embassy because Turkey is supporting the Azerbaijan with weapons on the other side of the border over there. Should I be hearing something on ICOM? I think we're going on in 3 minutes, I think. Okay. Control room, can you hear me? Who said that? Oh. Air 7 News Desk, yep. Just confirming we're starting in 2 minutes. Oh, 5:30, okay. Gotcha, I wasn't sure about that. Okay, copy that, 5:30. Very good, I was unclear. I thought we were starting at 5. Okay, 5:30, copy. Is it an hour or a half hour? Copy. Once again, if you're just joining us on ABC7.com and our ABC7 streaming apps, Chris Christie up in Air 7 HD, keeping a close eye on a very large rally here near Beverly Hills along Wilshire Boulevard, approaching the Turkish consulate here at the intersection of La Cienega and Wilshire. This rally starting over near Fairfax, now turning off and occupying this complete stretch of Wilshire Boulevard from La Cienega all the way back to Fairfax, including San Vicente. This group of tens of thousands of Armenians rallying for peace back home in Armenia along the border region between Armenia and Azerbaijan, where fighting is continuing this weekend despite a ceasefire agreed upon by the two nations earlier. In fact, just 2 days ago, they signed a truce, and only hours after that, fighting continued. near Artsac, and you can see the show of support here in Los Angeles this afternoon. Just an incredible, incredible display of Armenian pride. Lots of flags, and it looks like a little bit of a almost a festive atmosphere at points. You can see they are also holding up U.S. flags, but they are marching to the Turkish consulate to protest Turkey's involvement in the violence along the border there between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Turkey playing a pivotal role, also Russia playing a major role in trying to negotiate peace in the region. But it has been a couple of weeks of despair along that border for the past 2 weeks, since the end of September, following up on violence earlier in the year, which has escalated dramatically in the last couple of weeks and causing a lot of concern for Armenians here in Los Angeles. The Armenian community really animated and mobilized over the last couple of weeks with protests and donation collections almost every single night for the past 2 weeks, and show of support, and also begging for support from the U.S. government to get involved in any way that they can to try and promote peace in the region. But so far, it has been elusive, to say the least. However, the energy on the part of our Armenian community here in Los Angeles has been really enduring, as I mentioned, and you can see that outpouring of support here this afternoon. Tens of thousands of Armenians showing up in the name of peace. As we continue to bring you these live pictures from Air7 HD, now's a great time to remind you to go ahead and download our ABC7 streaming apps, available on Apple TV, Roku, Android TV, and Amazon Fire, where you can continue to watch these pictures on the big screen and follow along for all of the breaking news coverage throughout the afternoon. We're going to be here for the next little while and continue to bring you these live pictures as the crowd continues to build and the protest comes to a pause at La Cienega. Again, they started at Pan Pacific Park and have now stretched the entire length of Fairfax and Wilshire Boulevard. Almost a mile-long rally here with wall-to-wall people showing their support for Armenia. Again, an incredible volume of folks showing up this afternoon. Perhaps the largest gathering that we've seen in recent months since the George Floyd protests back in the end of May and beginning of June. Easily 10 to 20,000 plus here along Wilshire Boulevard, coming to a pause at La Cienega, where there is a stage set up, speakers set to speak to the crowd, and again, just an incredible show of support here for Armenians around the world and back home, especially along the border regions between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Up, down. There he is, right out there. Yep. This is going to be, so it stretches from Fairfax all the way to La Cienega. That is Wilshire and San Vicente that you just saw there. Once again, you are looking live at the Miracle Mile along Mid-Wilshire, stretching into parts of Beverly Hills, where this huge rally has come to a pause near the Turkish consulate at La Cienega and Wilshire Boulevard in Beverly Hills to show their protest against the Turkish government's involvement in the fighting back along Armenia and Azerbaijan, and that is the reason for today's rally, which has started about an hour and a half ago, almost 2 hours ago, and has continued to grow. We watched them turn the corner off of Fairfax onto Wilshire. Looks like the entire group is now on Wilshire Boulevard, but this crowd extends from La Cienega all the way back to Fairfax. So you're talking about tens of thousands of people shoulder to shoulder here in what is one of the largest gatherings of any kind here in LA in recent weeks, if not months, since the George Floyd protests. Again, we're talking about approximately 20+ thousand Armenians that have gathered here this afternoon and are expected to remain here for the next several hours as they show their support for family and friends back home in Armenia. Both. Once again, Chris Christie up in Air 7 HD, bringing you live pictures from the Mid-Wilshire area near Beverly Hills, where a very, very large protest, a pro-Armenian protest, has come to a pause at La Cienega and Wilshire Boulevard. But this entire stretch of the Miracle Mile is lined with people, and now you see hundreds of cars joining this rally slash protest as well. Again, all in support of Armenians back home, especially those affected by the violence which has played out over the last couple of weeks along the border between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Both sides blaming each other for a break in the ceasefire over the last 24 hours. Fighting continuing back home. Support pouring out here in Los Angeles by local Armenians who have shown up in the tens of thousands along Wilshire Boulevard. This protest coming to a pause at the Turkish consulate as they protest Turkey's involvement in the violence. And there are speakers set to speak at the end of Wilshire Boulevard and La Cienega. But take a look at the number of people that we're talking about here. A giant rally extending from La Cienega all the way back to Fairfax, and now many vehicles joining this protest as well, with Armenian flags, a number of motorcycles as well. LAPD standing by just as a precaution. Everything very peaceful here this afternoon, as we expect it to remain this way for the next several hours. This is about 2 hours old, and if the last couple of weeks are any indication, these are folks who have a lot of stamina to stay here throughout the evening as they continue to show their support for the folks back home. Hey, Christy, I've got you. Sounds good. Yep, you got it. Yeah, we can call it Beverly Hills. You said, I'm sorry, is it Veronica and Jory? Just Veronica, copy that. Okay, cool. Can you push in on the stage? Do you want to get on the other side and look behind them, or you want to stay in front of them? Let's stay here for this shot, and then we'll come around and get the other side and see the stage. And then we can come back here. We can do a big orbit. One minute. Copy. Great. Ten seconds. Copy. Veronica, massive is the word. An absolutely incredible show of support here along Wilshire Boulevard. Tens of thousands of Armenians gathering near Pan Pacific Park a couple of hours ago. The crowd has grown exponentially over the last 90 minutes, and you can see they've come to a pause at La Cienega and Wilshire Boulevard, right in front of the Turkish consulate where this protest is taking place. There is a stage with speakers set to begin speaking shortly. Again, they are protesting Turkey's involvement in the fighting back along the border regions between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Diplomats from both sides meeting in Moscow earlier this week, agreeing to a ceasefire about 48 hours ago, and just hours after that, fighting has resumed once again in Artsakh, where this has just become an emotional and absolutely fearful time for everybody involved. We've seen protests taking place almost every night in the last couple of weeks. This one by far the largest so far, the largest rally for peace by local Armenians here in Los Angeles. Reporting live from ABC7 HD, I'm Chris Christie, ABC7 Eyewitness News. Copy. I said live, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to get a view of the stage and see if Once again, welcome if you're joining us live on ABC7.com and our ABC7 streaming apps. Chris Christie up in Air 7 HD over a massive rally and protest here along Mid-Wilshire, along the Miracle Mile, concluding here at Beverly Hills on the corner of La Cienega and Wilshire Boulevard, where speakers have taken to the stage and are addressing the crowd. You can see drones flying with flags over the crowd. We've seen banner planes and thousands of Armenian flags showing their support for the folks back home and protesting the violence that has broken out in recent hours and days between Azerbaijan and Armenia, both sides blaming each other for a break in the ceasefire. And that has resulted in tens of thousands of Armenians showing up here this afternoon, again, to rally for peace and urge the U.S. government to get involved, also protesting the Turkish government's involvement. You can see a lot of cars joining the protest as well. Again, we estimate tens of thousands along Wilshire Boulevard between Fairfax and La Cienega right now is basically a sea of humanity. People shoulder to shoulder down there showing their support for Armenians back home. Hey there, come again?
Yeah, we're going the same speed as the plane, since the plane is towing a banner, so it kind of looks like it's not really moving. We're orbiting with it. It looks like it's not moving. Yeah, a little drone with a flag. Bunch of balloons up here too. We're like dodging
you missed the balloons.
There's a cool shot right here. I'll put police.
the banner. Once again, continuing to keep an eye on a massive rally here along Mid-Wilshire in Beverly Hills, there at the corner of La Cienega and Wilshire Boulevard. Tens of thousands of Armenians packing the street this afternoon in support of the folks back home. Again, this all started a couple of hours ago near Pan Pacific Park and has stretched down Fairfax, eventually onto Wilshire, where the entire group has occupied a good half mile of the Miracle Mile, extending all the way back past Fairfax, where cars and trucks and motorcycles are joining the rally. Again, this rally for peace back home along the border regions between Azerbaijan and Armenia, where violence is continuing this weekend and fighting has not come to that planned ceasefire which was proposed earlier just a couple of days ago. Unfortunately, violence breaking out once again in the last 24 hours. This group here coming to rest in front of the Turkish consulate as they protest Turkey's involvement in the violence. Both sides blaming each other for the renewed fighting, and you can see this group here remaining very, very peaceful. We've seen hundreds and thousands of flags and balloons, some smoke displaying the Armenian colors, and banner planes overhead flying the Armenian flag. Just an incredible sight here along Wilshire Boulevard as tens of thousands of pro-Armenians pack the street in support of the nation of Armenia. Okay, great. I'll try not to say live this time. Now they're recording it. It's for the 7 o'clock. KDOC. I know, right? Do you want to go back on the other side for this hit? All right, let's go back around the other side, Josh. How far out are we, Christy? 2 minutes. Thank you. On. How far back did they go? They kind of all squeezed in between San Vicente and... Okay. One minute. And closer. 45 seconds. .30 away. A little more north. Veronica, this is a massive crowd. Tens of thousands of Armenians packing Wilshire Boulevard along Miracle Mile, coming to a pause now at La Cienega Boulevard, where speakers have taken to the stage. You can see thousands of Armenian flags, drones flying overhead, even a helicopter and a banner tow, all in the name of peace as they protest Turkey's involvement in the conflict back home along the border region between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Of course, that ceasefire coming 2 days ago, but violence breaking out once again this evening, and a massive show of support amongst our local Armenians here in Los Angeles for a massive rally here in Beverly Hills. Reporting from ABC7, I'm Chris Christie, ABC7 Eyewitness News. You got it. Thank you. I should have been reporting from Air 7. So. No, I don't think so.